Welcome to Unreal Fest 2025 Stockholm. Super happy to have you here. I hope you're all enjoying Fest. Today, we're going to be doing launch control inside of Twinmotion. So accelerating real-time automotive design. I'm going to be showing you how I use Twinmotion for automotive. Now, before we slide in or dive into the slides and live demo that I'll be doing, let me do a quick introduction of myself. So my name is David Baylis, and I have founded David Baylis Design in 2021, focusing on real-time automotive render. So I've been using Unreal Engine 5 for, Unreal Engine for the past 10 years now. And now I've also integrated Twinmotion as my side tool for quick automotive rendering. Now, a quick overview of the agenda here. So I'll explain what is Twinmotion. Then we'll look at the CAD from real time. So some of you may be doing some alias, and we'll show exactly how to import that inside of Twinmotion with the dot wire. And then we'll look at my favorite part, which is the automotive configuration. So I'm going to show you how to set it up and also how to leverage that for batch rendering. And then we'll finish off with future-proofing the design pipeline. Now, to give you an idea of the work that I do, these are some images path traced, so both inside Unreal Engine 5 and Twinmotion. I took this slide because, well, you can figure out or guess which is Twinmotion or Unreal Engine. So Twinmotion is using Unreal Engine 5. So the quality that you see is really similar, right? So we have Lumen and Path Tracer inside of Twinmotion also. So these would be the images that I do and publish either on my Instagram or also for client render. Now, speaking of clients render, what I do mostly is these kind of setups. So typical like white studio. I've been getting into car redesign a lot, and there's nothing better than a white studio to see the car body and read the car body design language. So I'm going to be showing you how to set it up from scratch inside of Twinmotion, get the lighting all together, and set up some cameras here with the angles, the wheels turned. Everything is going to be automated, so you can just basically press render and then have everything done. Now, I was mentioning about CAD to Twinmotion. So again, in the 2025 version, we have the dot wire integration, so we can integrate wire files directly inside of Twinmotion. Now, to give you an example of how it works, it's quite straightforward. What you want to do is you want to go into the import here, click on the plus button, and here I have access to the .wire file. So when I open that, it's going to give me some presets, right? So here I'm choosing between coarse, low, medium, and high, and that's basically going to change the tolerance, so the tessellation. I went here with high here, so I'm importing the beautiful Genesis G80. And so what I have here is one half of the car. So I'm going to go to the modeling tools and leverage the mirror tool so I can flip the geometry, and I can do all of that inside of Twinmotion. So very, very similar to Unreal Engine 5. Again, just made a bit simpler. I'm just going to drag and drop a material here using the library just to check my car body. But I do notice very typical flipped normals here from CAD data. So instead of going back to the DCC, I can go back to modeling tools and I can select either the single face here or by material ID or by connected group. So with that selected, what I can do, I've got two choices here. I can auto fix normals or I can flip manually. So when you do auto fix, it works 95% of the time, but sometimes it's going to flip some other faces too. So I went manually here and I flipped the normals and everything seems pretty good here. So I'm just going to go around and admire my beautiful mirror with flipped correct flipped normals here. Now, the important thing here with Twinmotion is that it's all about photorealism with speed and quality. Now, those are two very important values for me, and it's all about maintaining speed and quality. So I'm going to be showing that in the live demo. We're going to do this all together and just show you how easy it is to set up lighting, import your data, and really nail down the photorealistic look. All right, with that said, it's time to get cooking. We're going to do some live demo, and we're going to be starting with the studio render. So this one is going to be very interesting. And so I've heard you guys feedback, and I'm going to start here really from scratch. I'm not going to get a pre-baked scene, all beautiful and everything. We're going to do this all together as if you were a CAD designer opening Twinmotion for the first time and getting a sense of the engine, okay? So what I have here is I simply just imported the walls and a floor, okay? That's it. Nothing fancy else going. This is what you're going to have is if you click the new scene. So if you do File, New Scene here, this is what you're going to be greeted with the sky. Now, if I go on the right side here, up top, you're going to see the Ambiance tab. So I have the time of day here that I can slide, very similar to, again, Unreal Engine 5. Sun and sky system works exactly the same. Now, in my case, though, I want to make a black environment. I don't want to have the sky affect my studio. So what I can do is, instead of using dynamic sky, I can go into HDRI here. So if I switch to HDRI, the trick here is to use a intensity of 0. Okay, so that's going to make my ambient lighting 0, so it's black. I do notice though that I'm having a bit of fog here, so maybe I want to go back to the environment here and just going to go down, and we see, you know, there's some fancy icons and everything, so it's really made easy for you to navigate. I'm going to go to fog here and I'm going to disable it, okay? So right now, well, everything's black, which is good, but I don't see what I'm doing, which is problematic. So the trick here is I can switch view modes, and maybe I can go to the unlit mode and I can navigate the scene again. All right, so I'm just going to navigate here quickly, and I'm going to open the library. So right at the bottom left here, I'm going to open the library, and I'm going to go to lights. And again, it's made you know, very nicely with some icons, tells you what it's about. I'm going to use a area light, same as Unreal Engine, rectangular lights. Those are really good. So I'm going to be using this, and basically I want to simulate a softbox sort of lighting here, okay? So I've put my lights up top here, and let's switch back to the default mode. And let's bring the lights just ever so slightly, just like that, okay? So again, really taking this from basic level. So we start building together the scene. So what I can do maybe is the length or the width, I'm going to put this 8 meters just to have something rectangular like that. We're going to be placing the car right underneath. But first of all, we need to maybe check the lighting together. So again, we're using Lumen here, and we can see the global illumination bouncing off, which is pretty good. But the attenuation here is quite low, so maybe let's go here and put this a little bit bigger here, so it really fills up the scene, okay? So already I'm having something relatively nice. It's a little bit beige though, it's a bit too warm in my opinion. So what I can do is I can change the color temperature. So let's put 6500. And now I'm starting slowly to get a studio looking render. We still got some work to do, but it's looking quite good. Now, maybe what I can do as an artist is maybe separate the ground floor in terms of contrast and maybe use a polished concrete floor or something. So what I can do is I can assign a material. So I'm going to go down here in the content browser. Let me get rid of this thing. There we go. Get some space. And we're going to go to materials. And I'm going to create a new standard material. And I'm going to go here. So in the details, I can change the tint. And if I go into the details panel, I can actually get a texture. So I'm going to open mine here, and I'm going to use the polished concrete. And I'm just going to drag and drop this here on the floor. Already getting some nice separation between the floor and the wall, which is pretty good. Let's do the same with the roughness. So I'm going to open, get this, and we can change the intensity so we can see, maybe get some nice polish, and we can get some reflections later on the car. Let's just add a normal, and so we get a bit of texturing here. There we go. I think this is looking pretty good. Okay, so now I think it's time to load the car. So I'm going to load it here, and what I can see here is, well, the car is loaded, which is cool, but there's a big factor missing, is that I don't have any shadows under the car. Well, that's because the area lights here by default has shadows deactivated. Now, don't ask me why that is, but you have to enable it manually. So I'm just going to enable it here, and now I have some shadows. Okay, so we're starting to get, slightly better every time. We're doing some iterations here. But what I want to do maybe is tweak a little bit more about the lighting here. It's looking good, but slightly on the gamey side. We're getting a lot of shadows under the car. It's quite contrasty. It's quite dark. So there's a quick little tip here is to use physical based lighting. All right. So let's close this material, get some space here. And I'm going to go back to the Ambiance tab. Okay. Instead of environment, I'm going to go to camera. And camera here, what I have enabled is auto exposure. So a lot of you have this enabled by default. I always turn it off. So it's just like professional photographers, they always use manual exposure. It just makes the photo much nicer. So I want to turn off the auto exposure also because I don't want to see this happening. So if I go close to the car here, if I start looking down, it might brighten up. And if I start looking up, I'm going to have this, you see how the paint is reacting here? That's going to be problematic. If I'm doing some look dev on the car, I want the paint to be looking consistent, okay? So I'm going to deactivate auto exposure. And I want you to pay attention at what's going to happen here in the exposure value, okay? So I'm going to turn it off. And now it just boosted up to 8, right? Which is quite high. What I typically do is I always set it to 0 because then I can see if my lights are looking good. 8 is really high. I never go above 2. So I'm going to set this to 0. Okay. And now you're like, well, David, it looked good before. Why should I turn this off? Well, I'm going to explain you why. So if we set this to 0, we're seeing that the car now is dark. That means that my top light is quite low. So let's go into the top light in the area lights. The intensity, 300 lumens, okay? That is really low. If you're doing physical based value, that is really low. So typically a softbox lighting 8 by 5 meters would be in the 80,000 to 100,000. Okay, so we really need to boost that up. I'm going to go with a value of 80,000 here. And now we're back to normal. So the light above is correct. And now let's go full screen for a bit. Now I have something looking a bit nicer. So let's go back to ambiance. Let's go with a camera here. Let's play with the field of view. Let's go full screen. And now it's just looking a bit more natural and photorealistic. We're not getting that really dark shadow that we were having because we adjusted the manual exposure and we're using physical based values, okay? So now we're having something a bit more photorealistic. Okay, so help us improve Twinmotion. I always get that during my talks. So now what we're going to do is we're going to set up some cameras. Just like I showed you in the slides, we're going to be using 3 different profiles. So let's set that up. Imagine you're a CAD designer and the Unreal team is absent and you have to get some photos done for the client. Very, very easy. So what you can do is you can go again down in the Media tab this time. So I'm going to go here in the Media tab, and I'm going to create my first camera. And you're going to see how easy it is in Twinmotion. All I have to do is click that big plus button, and that's going to create my first camera. Okay, so I got my first angle here. Let's do a profile. So I'm going to get the profile of the car. Let's change it maybe like this. And we're going to change the position of the car later on. Don't worry about that. I'm going to create my second camera here. And let's do a rear 3/4 maybe. So let's do that. And yeah, this is good, but I'm getting a bit annoyed because the wall behind, right? So instead of moving the camera, I'm going to move the car. I'm going to tell the driver to move the car. I don't want to move. So I'm just going to place myself again here, and we're going to be rotating the car. So let's just place it here again. Let's create 3. Okay, so now we have 3 camera angles. So if I were to send this to a client, okay, the front one, the first image is pretty good. The second image, I'll have to grab the car here and manually rotate, press render, send, and then do the same for the third. That's very cumbersome. We need to automate this in a way that we can just press hit render, go for a coffee or to the beach or something, and then come back and have all the renders for us. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to leverage the configurator. So let's go into the configurator. So if you look right at the end here, we have the configuration tab. All right. So I'm going to open that up. And again, it's all about plus buttons here, which is awesome. It's grayed out because, well, we do have to define what we're going to be doing here. So I'm going to click on the 3 buttons here, and we have several properties. So we can do either property, material switch, visibility. So if you have a separate set of wheels, you can switch on and off. We have the ambiance, which we're not using here because we're not using the dynamic sky. The transform, which is the one we're going to be using, and then camera position. So I'm going to tell it to record transform. As soon as I do that, it enables me that plus button. So as soon as I create configuration, and this is important, so I'm going to create plus, this is going to be the state that I'm seeing on the screen. So this would be front 3/4. I'm just going to rename this like this. And I'm going to grab the e-tron GT, and I'm just going to put that profile side, so make it parallel to the wall. Yeah, that seems good. And don't worry about the gizmos. I'll explain that later on. So I've just rotated it parallel to the wall. I'm going to create plus here to record that new value. It opened a new state, so that's going to be profile. And then let's do rear 3/4. Okay, so again, I'm not moving the camera, I'm moving the car. Okay, so there we go, plus, and that's going to be my rear 3/4. So exactly works like the variant manager. So if I click between all of these, I can switch position super easy. Now, you may have noticed that it also created a UI here at the bottom here. So I didn't have to code anything, which is amazing. So it created this UI automatically. And if I switch, I can use this as a showcase for clients, for example, right? So I can have, I can do material switch, so on and so on here. I'm using this though to use it as being efficient and batch rendering. So I'm going to go back to the image here, and I'm going to go back to image number one. And let's go here. So image number one, if we go right on the far right here in image, we get the configuration. Okay, so now that we configured the configuration, we can tell it this is going to be front 3/4. Number two is going to be profile. There we go. Maybe I can zoom out just a little bit like this. Hit refresh button. And for the third one, I can tell it to be 3/4, just like that. And what I can do also is within the vignettes, I can tell it, well, this one can be a bigger angle, so something a bit more dramatic. Maybe like this. Leave a bit of space here at the front, and I can tell that one to be path traced. So I'm going to be enabling path tracer here. And that way I can evaluate my lights, and I can see if everything is looking correct and tight. So yeah, path tracer here looks really good. And you can see here in the vignettes that it has the like the squares here. So that means that it's on path tracer. The other ones are going to be in Lumen. So I can quickly switch between all of these super easy. Okay. Now let's put that one back to Lumen. And let's do a quick material switch. So I'm going to go back to the configurator. And let's create not a transform, I'm going to do a material switch. All right, you're going to see how cool this is. So I'm going to create plus here. That's going to be my second configuration. State number one is whatever I have on the screen. So it's going to be the gray or silver matte. Okay, let's open up the library. Let's go to the materials here. Let's go to car paints, and maybe let's drag and drop the black one here. So I'm just going to drag and drop this here. Again, once I've done that, all I have to do is hit record. All right, so I've hit record here. This is going to be black. And maybe let's do a third one here. Maybe let's go with the vivid red. Let's see how that looks. Not too bad. All right, so I'm going to create plus again and rename this as red. Okay. So just like before, we have the variant manager here, so I can quickly change between these. It also enabled that second UI for me. Now, what I can do maybe to make it a little bit more fancy, and that's just for showcase reasons, is I can go into the triggers here, and you can see I have a list of icons available for me right there. So I'm going to maybe choose this one, a little bit more fancy, and then I can also make this, instead of a switch, I can make this a list. Okay, so when I click on here, it's going to open up the three colors for me. Now, I don't have any thumbnails. Well, instead of going to Photoshop and everything, all I can do is I can just zoom in and maybe capture this directly in the viewport. So again, with the thumbnail, I'm going to capture thumbnail right here, switch to black, capture, red, capture. Let's go full screen. And just in seconds right now, I can switch car positions and I can switch colors. So I didn't have to code anything here. Everything was done in just a few clicks, and we have realistic lighting. Cool. So now we're ready to go back to image. And again, so with the image number one here, we can batch render all of these. And maybe I can duplicate the first one So the first image here, and I can go to image right here in the configuration. I can set this to black, and I can duplicate again, set this one to red, and so on and so on. You get the picture. You don't have to do anything. You can enjoy your coffee or whatever and hit render, get all of these renders automated without having to do any sort of manual work. Okay, so that's exactly the process that I use for clients inside of Twinmotion. Okay, so with the studio done now, I really just wanted to show you how to get realistic lighting, how to start from scratch and really get that exposure set up. That's really important. It just makes that final render just much nicer. So again, having a quick look here, I think this is worthy of sending to the client. So we're all set. Okay, so let's now switch to the exterior because I also want to show you the exterior and some new features of Twinmotion 2025. So I'm going to be switching scenes and also cars. Why not? So I'm going to get the Genesis G80 here, and in a beautiful chateau here in France that I remodeled. So this one is quite interesting because everything is exterior scene. And I just want to show you how the exterior lighting sort of works and also the couple of features that in Twinmotion was added in 2025. So one of the cool features here and why I decided to take this scene, not only because it's in France, but because I wanted to have some grass here. So now we have 3D grass here, as you can see. So this is extremely easy to use. What I can do, and I can show you here, let's do a quick example here. So I'm going to go to materials. Let's open up the materials here, and I'm just going to do a very, very quick preview here for you guys. So I'm just going to, yeah, let's just put this one for now. Okay, so that was my grass before. Okay, so it looks, very gamey. Let's get rid of this navigation. There we go. It looks very gamey. So what I can do now is I can just go into materials and I can go to 3D grass right here. Okay. Now I can just simply drag and drop. It's all about drag and dropping in Twinmotion, which is pretty cool. And now we're having some really, really nice grass. Now, if you feel like a bit of a gardener, you can actually change the length of the appearance and stuff. So we have lots of presets. We can go to thin grass, we can go to long grass. We can also have this procedurally generated, which is pretty good. And in the new versions now we have way more options. So I went with thin grass here because, well, it's a chateau, it's well and kept, but really, really cool tool that we don't have yet in Unreal Engine. So again, if you're doing environments and you have lots of grass, definitely Twinmotion. Now, here the shot looks pretty good. Maybe I want to add some trees in the background. So let me clear up a little bit here. Let's go full screen just to have an idea of where I can place my camera. I think I'm going to do something maybe a little bit like this. I kind of like this shot, but maybe I want to add something in the background here just to have a bit of depth. So I can add some trees. Now I could add them manually one by one, but we don't want to do that. I want to be fast and efficient. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create a landscape. And let's go to vegetation, landscape, create flat. Again, drag and drop here. So we have a base here for us. And what I can do, let's go here in that area. So I'm just going to add some trees here. Let me just move that barn just a little bit. I'm going to go again back to vegetation. I'm going to go to trees. So again, this is the cool stuff with Twinmotion, is that we have all of these libraries available for us. We don't have to go to the marketplace and hunt different species and everything. Everything here is available for us, which is awesome. Now, what I can do is I can go into the populate. So this is really good because we're actually looking at all of the different tools here. I'm going to go to populate, and I can go to place, and I have different options. So just like inside Unreal, we can paintbrush and so on. I can maybe use the area tool. Just going to drag this area just really simply, and you can see how easy it is to use all natively. And you can see right now it placed some arrows for me to sort of visualize what I'm going to be seeing. So what I want to do is I want to get some trees in there, so I can just drag and drop this in there. And let's get maybe this one and maybe this one also. And okay, it's interesting. We don't see any trees. Let's move this a little bit. So if we populate this, we'll have all of these showing up. Typically, let's delete. Okay, so we have the arrows. That's good. That seems to work. Let's do it one more time. There we go. Nice. Oh, saved the day. And I'm just going to drag some more here. I was worried there. And now I can just move this area super easy. So it's going to automatically change through the landscape, right? So if I start moving this, it's going to automatically adapt, right? Which is really, really nice. So again, I just wanted a couple of trees here in the background. Let's go back here. And maybe let's switch to dynamic sky. So I'm going to go to ambiance, and I'm going to use dynamic sky here. And I'm just going to play around with the light. And now we can really see just how Lumen is doing its job right here. So again, if I go into the render settings, we have the Lumen setting right now. If you want to check how it looked like before, this is how it looked like before. So now with Lumen, it's much, much nicer. We're getting some really nice shadows, especially like here in the background, just so much nicer. Also in the 2025, we also have accurate shadows. Okay, so again, if I switch to standard, if you look at the background here, really soft shadows with some jagged edges, we're seeing that line here that's you know, basically not using ray trace shadows. So that was a big limitation before in Twinmotion. Now if we switch to accurate, we can see that line, that ridge line, just much, much nicer, and a couple of objects just displaying way better here. Now the cool thing with the exterior environments is now I've implemented the trees, is that I can start playing with the weather system. So I can, of course, change the time of day. I can go into volumetrics, maybe add some skies here. So really, really similar to what we have inside Unreal. And in seasons, I can start just by dragging the slider, going into rain mode. And just like that, it's creating puddles. I don't have to do any vertex painting, nothing. It's automatically detecting that. It's also automatically doing collisions, right? So we'll have collision based. If you see on the windscreen here, we're getting some raindrops automatically, which is really nice for something that is native, right? Now, let's go back here and put it sunny again. And what I can do is also change the foliage in the background, right? So I can change this dynamically and put it into winter mode very easily, again, just by dragging sliders, because the trees are automatically linked to the season here. So I think that's really cool. So we can have different modes. Here, maybe I'll set to autumn, and we'll keep it just as is. Now let's do a quick last configuration here. Let's go maybe open the door or something. So this could be a really nice showcase for clients if we're looking around the car. and maybe, have a function where we can open the door. So again, if you remember, let's go back to media and let's go to configuration. And I'm going to, this time, so we did material switch, we did transform. This time I'm going to do property, okay? Because what I want to do is I have some gizmos here. So if I press G, here I have a rotator door right here. And I'm going to show you quickly before we do the configuration. Let's just show you. So if I go into library, I go to tools, going to go to animators and rotators. This is exactly what I've done. So I've just dragged and dropped this and placed it on the hinge of the door and then connected the door to the rotator, okay? Just to show you how it works. So I placed this here, and what I can do now is with the rotator, it has some animations here. So what I can do is I can just, press play. It's going to open the door automatically. So maybe I can put a trigger on the door so we have a bit of interaction. So let's do that. Let's create plus here. Again, what I'm seeing, it's closed. So closed, and let's go back to the rotator. Let's press play, and this is going to be my open. There we go. So technically, I should be able to open and close the door. Wow, amazing. So instead of having the 2D trigger, I can switch maybe to a 3D trigger right here, okay? So with a 3D trigger, I can just place it on the door, for example. Let's just place it right here. Okay, I think that seems good. And let's go in full screen mode. Let's try it out. All right, so now I can have something like a configurator, and let's open this up, and we have the interaction. So just like that, no coding required, I can have this set up. Oh, I jammed the door. Okay, there we go. So now let's open the door, and we can maybe set up some cameras, do some interior shots here. So typically what I would do here, again, I would set up a camera, go to the field of view, put this like this. So I would place the camera around here. Okay. And in this case, this is really good because this car has a sunroof. Let's just delete the sunroof, get some sunlight in there, go to ambiance here. And let's go back to environment, and we can just change the time of day. Let's get rid of this. Let's get some space in. There we go. And now we can just really play with the lighting, do some interior shots, experiment with all the different lighting scenarios. And again, it's just about getting some lighting. Everything here is done with the dynamic sky. I'm not using any area lights at all here. So we're getting something really, really nice. We can also leverage Path Tracer, of course. I'm not going to do it because it's going to take a few seconds to load, but really, really nice. And so again, one of the new features, just to finish off here, one of the new features in 25.2 is nanite. Okay, so in the view modes, I can go here and turn on nanite triangle. So everything here is nanite, as you can see, except for the translucency, of course, the doors. But all of the scene here is using nanite, which is really cool now because now we can have some really, really dense materials. For example, the floor, I'm using displacement on the floor here. So it's really, really nice to have that detail. You can see it doing exactly the same as Unreal Engine 5. Again, on the roof, shrine roofs here from Quicksole Megascans, they're really, really high. Really nice to have nanite doing its thing here. So again, no problem in terms of geometry, reflections, anything, everything looks sharp. Gonna go back to default. And as you can see, just like that, I can switch between the view modes. Okay, so to finish off quickly, I'm going to again recap a little bit here and explain why Twinmotion can help you in the company. Well, as CAD designers, you can do the starting phase, import your data in a studio environment, place a few props in the scene, and then you can set dress, scene prep with the Fab library or Quixel, get everything prepared, and later on you can send that to Unreal Engine using Datasmith, right? So you can easily move this, and people always ask me, oh, can you send this to Unreal? Yes, via the Datasmith pipeline, okay? Now, to finish off the road ahead, Twinmotion really simplifies real-time automotive workflows from CAD to polished visuals, as you saw in the demo. We can do 4K past-traced renders, automated. Studio to exterior, super versatile. We have dynamic lighting, and as you saw in the studio, we can have a very easy setup with the manual exposure and so on. And last but not least, the Datasmith pipeline, which is really cool because you're always going to have some people wanting to do a bit more in terms of programming and so on. So you can easily send that off to Unreal Engine team and do all the blueprints and coding and all of that if you want to. But this is a really, really good starting ground. All right, I hope you all enjoyed the show. If you have any questions, please ask now, or you can also see me at the booth right there at the Twinmotion. Thank you very much for your attention.
I managed to break the build because of one of the Gauntlet test controllers in a